thoughts of Mike Steph, this marks a new beginning. Thanks for supporting a total reinvention. The soul is still here, but the vibe's a little different. Unpredictable, hot the kids and the women. Sports of all sorts, music mixed with living. Rep New York City, but ain't the politician. Always bring the heat, Steph big.
What up, people? Welcome to a very impromptu sprinkler salt edition of the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph podcast, featuring the one and only Mike Steph, best in the world at what he does. Yeah, I know. I've gone from like 0 to 100 in one day. I went 4 weeks without giving y'all one episode, and in the last 24 to 36 hours, this will be my third episode I'm giving y'all. So be careful what you ask for. You might just get it. But in reality, I was actually going to wait until tomorrow to give y'all my full-fledged return to the YouTube airwaves, the YouTube atmosphere, the YouTube streets, or whatever. But unfortunately, I couldn't have a day of celebration. Unfortunately, I couldn't have a day of elation. Unfortunately, I couldn't have a day that I can just bask in my glory, bask in the sunlight of victory. No, not at all. Not at all. If you couldn't tell by the title of this sprinkle assault, this is going to be my quick reaction to the New York Jets' embarrassing loss this past Sunday against the Denver Broncos. But you know why it's really stuck in my craw, maybe more than normal, more than usual? Listen, I've been a Jets fan for 42 years. This is my 42nd season of being a fan of this franchise, of being a fan of Gang Green, of being a fan of my Jets. And I'm not going to say this is the worst loss in my 42 years of fandom. No, I'm not going to do such melodrama. No, I'm not going to do such overreaction. But I will say this. This has been the most miserable loss that I've dealt with in years. For one reason and one reason only. I was actually in attendance today. Yeah, listen, Mike Steph, I'm not gonna lie, normally doesn't go out amongst the peons, amongst the plebeians, amongst the commoners, amongst the handful of Mike Steph listeners. But to be serious, if I could be serious for a minute, normally I don't go to actually see my Jets in person. But due to an invitation that I took, due to just the stars aligning in a certain way, I was front and center today in JetLife Stadium to watch my Jets. This has been a year of first for me, a year of seeing legends in person for the first time and perhaps the last time in their respective careers. Back this past April, on the wrestling side, The Rock made his return leading up to WrestleMania, and The Rock was literally 15 minutes from my crib at downtown Brooklyn in the Barclays Center. Week before WrestleMania, the Raw before WrestleMania. And I was like, you know what? I usually don't want to go sit through a Raw. You know what? F it. This might be my last chance to actually see The Rock live and in color. So I took me in Main Event K. We went to see The Rock. So when this opportunity came across, and I'm like, darn, this would be my first time and probably my only time, to be able to see future Hall of Fame, a quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, live and in color, in the flesh. And of course, repping my home team, my New York Jets. I said, you know what? Gotta do it. And besides the game, I had a wonderful time. I had a great time. You know, a time to remember. Like, I really appreciated the hospitality. I really appreciated just the just the red carpet rolled out. I really appreciated everything about today except for the actual game and the conditions. Because after having how many dry ass weeks, after having how many dry ass Sundays, guess what? It wouldn't be a Jets 1 o'clock kickoff at home if it wasn't full of cloud and rain. The only good thing was the fact that where we were sitting, we was under the covering, so we didn't get wet. But that's not to say that I didn't reach the stadium wet, soaked, chilled, irritated. And then the product that I saw on the field just really, really, really disappointed me. Listen, I'm not going to say I was ready to proclaim the Jets a Super Bowl contender, a Super Bowl entry after the demolishing of the New England Patriots 10 days ago. But I did expect for us to have the Denver Broncos coming into our home turf for the first time in a couple years, being the fact that they have a rookie quarterback on their own, a Bo Nix, being the fact that this should have been a revenge game for Aaron Rodgers and Nathaniel Hackett against that piece of shit, Sean Payton. I expected way more than what I received. I received and I looked at a listless team. I looked at a team whose marquee players, whose young cornerstone marquee players, and I'll name them by name: Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, and Sauce Gardner, underwhelmed. They played like players who thought that this shit didn't stink. They played like players who was watching and listening and reading all the press clippings and just figured, well, since this year we got Aaron Rodgers nice and healthy, and he just sliced and diced up our arch rival. Yeah. Broncos coming in? Fuck them. We got that. We got this. That wasn't the case. Do you know, first half, we ended the first half up 6-0, which is bad enough. But do you know, on the other hand, and listen, I'm going straight freestyle tonight. No trusty ass notes in my hand, no trusty ass statistics or stats, nothing. Strictly off emotion and memory. It's one stat. Do you know that Bo Nix was like 7-15 for -7 yards in the first half? How the fuck does that happen? I'm sorry, listen. Y'all should know, or maybe y'all forgot, I really tried to give up my cursing, or at least calm it down, but I'm pissed off right now. How are you going to give up as a defense -7 yards passing and as a team only be up by 6? A combination of play calling and a combination of subpar play. And let's go down the list. First, starting with Breece Hall. 10 carries for 4 yards. Yeah, I didn't stutter. 10 carries for 4 yards. He was averaging 0.4 yards per carry. On the other hand, you had the young boy, Braylon Allen. As soon as he came in the game, spark. So what do the Jets do? What does Nathaniel Hackett do in his infinite wisdom? When we have first and goal, not only the first down, not only second down, but third down, we neglect to give the ball to our battering ram. We neglect to give the ball to the spark of the offense today. Braylon Allen, number 0 himself. His running style complements exactly what we need when we're running in mud. One cut, straight through the hole. One cut, straight in your face. One cut, beast mode. Breece Hall wants to dance. He wants to be indecisive. He wants to try to bounce everything to the outside. He wants everything to be a 40, 50, 60, 70-yard run instead of grinding it out. He's become a real prima donna. And I just wonder if in the locker room is Breece Hall one of those characters that, well, when we're calling plays, God forbid that Breece Hall feels threatened. God forbid Breece Hall feels like his position is going to be threatened by the rookie. So yeah, we're going to have to force this square peg in this circular hole. Even though you have the young boy ready and willing to go. So, of course, like I said, first, second down, Breece Hall, 0, nil, zilch, nada, not a damn yard, not a damn inch. Then on third down, you're going to try to have a play action pass to Solomon Thomas. Yeah, okay, great. Fucking great. Then we went for it on fourth down, and guess what? False start. Back him up. Field goal. Numerous times. How many false start penalties did our running back have? 2. And I'm not talking about Brandon Allen. I'm talking about the veteran Breece Hall. He wants to feed the Breece. Guess what? Learn how to digest your food so you can get more. If you always regurgitate your food, guess what? You get some more food. Cornerstone number 2. And it hurts me to say this because I was rocking his jersey today, and that is Garrett Wilson. And I really feel that over the last 2 years, Garrett Wilson, for the most part, besides some little blips in his rookie year, for the most part, he has handled himself like an ultra true professional. And he has continued to do such. But no matter how professional you are off the field, on the field, you got to handle your business. Patrick Surtain shut him down. Period. He was persona non grata. He was nowhere to be found. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. You can see it in my iris. Numerous plays. There was one catch toward I think either third quarter that, matter of fact, probably third or fourth quarter. I believe the third quarter, they called a catch, and technically he was not in bounds. And that led to another field goal. The most egregious play that he didn't come up with was, I want to say, one of the last 2 drives. Either right before the Will Lutz missed field goal that allowed us to get the ball back again with a $1:37 left in the game, or the ending drive. One or the other. I believe it was the ending drive, where he runs his route. Nice slant, in cut. But he's not looking at the ball. Aaron Rodgers throws straight to him, bounces off his shoulder. He's not looking back for the ball. It's like he was going through the motion. Let me just run this pattern. Do you know who our top 2 wide receivers are at this moment? In this particular order, Alan Lazard, and Mike Williams. Alan Lazard and Mike Williams. Do you know what makes Lazard that more important? Well, do you know what makes Lazard important right now? And why he actually is on this team? Was because of Aaron Rodgers. You know why Aaron Rodgers probably persisted and insisted that Alan Lazard was going to be on this team? Because for all the years of them playing together, yeah, Alan Lazard probably has a lot of boneheaded plays. Trust me, he committed 3 penalties today himself. But he has the ultimate trust of Aaron Rodgers. When there's a play to be made, when there's a pass that has to be completed, 95% of the time, I say 100% of the time, Aaron Rodgers is looking for Alan Lazard. And on the, let's say, the 5 to 10% that he's not looking for Alan Lazard, he's looking for Mike Williams on the sideline for a clutch ass catch. He tries to get Garrett Wilson into the game, but what I noticed once again with my own 2 eyes, Now I understand why a lot of analysts, when they look at tape, they look at the all 22. Now, I'm not saying I was able to look at an all 22, but the vantage point that I had, I could see the whole formation. I could see the whole field, both sides. I could see all 22. It's almost like playing a game of Madden. That type of view. And from what I can tell, is after a while, Aaron Rodgers stopped looking for Garrett Wilson because his thing is, and he's very particular. We saw this in Green Bay. The last year he was in Green Bay, we saw this. If he has a young receiver and he feels like the young receiver is not grasping the concepts or grasping how he wants to play quarterback or what he needs from his receiver, he will discard said receiver, no matter who the fuck you are. And Garrett Wilson's supposed to be our number one. And right now, Garrett Wilson is just pretty much doing aerobics. He's just running around. Because right now, Aaron Rodgers is not looking for Garrett Wilson whatsoever. It's like he'll give him a chance, and if you're not on point, guess what? I'm not looking for you for the next two drives. That can't happen. I don't even actually put it on Aaron Rodgers because there's certain techniques he's lazy with. Remember, what was it? The first week when the game was actually still in doubt, and he had a chance to convert a third down, or converted. Yeah, I think he converted a third down, and because of lazy footwork, he wasn't able to get both feet in bounds off of out padding. That was in full display on that little in cut. You know, Aaron Rodgers is the type of quarterback you need to. All right, yes, you run your route, but always be cognizant that, especially if you're the number one read. Matter of fact, even if you're not the number one read, if you're that go-to receiver, he's going to look for you. That was trial and error. That was a test. And unfortunately, Garrett Wilson failed that test. Sauce Gardner, third cornerstone. And this is what I'll say when it comes to him. Because it wasn't as glaring. DJ Reed has outplayed him this year by a large amount. It's almost like he's been reading the press clippings. He's been hearing your source could be the listen, Patrick Surtain, even though y'all don't play against each other, that was a true shutdown corner. You happen to be a cornerback. Big difference. At least today. I don't know if it's scheme. I'm not even gonna blame scheme. There was a big difference between number one in the green and white and number two in the white, blue, and orange. Tell you the truth, they probably should have swapped numbers. You know what another glaring difference was? Coaching. And I hate to say it, but it's coaching. Do you know one stat off the top of my head that I read? Robert Saleh is 20-35 currently as the head coach of the New York Jets. 20-35. 15 games below 500. This is the type of game. Yes, I know the conditions were miserable. Trust me, I was out there. This is the type of game that when you're questionable on whether they're going to retain your rights, going to retain, or you're going to be able to retain your employment, these are the games that hang in the balance. Yes, your defense only gave up 60 yards passing to bum-ass Knicks. Yes. But you're not the defensive coordinator. You're the head coach. You're the CEO. If Nathaniel Hackett is being very predictable. Matter of fact, how about this? I'll take I'll take the coordinators out of it. The team as a whole committed 13 penalties. 13 penalties. Coming off a 10-day rest. Coming off a performance that was lauded by most in the city and most in the league. And this is your response. At home, against a team that you should beat, against a rookie quarterback, and you gave up and you committed 13 penalties. Asinine penalties. The most egregious thing that Robert Saleh did was, I think, when they was talking about the penalties, he made a comment such as, well, with the hard count, due to, I think we had 5 4-star penalties. And he was like, due to the hard count, maybe we need to ease up off that. Fuck. Excuse me? You're 20-year veteran quarterback. You're 20-year, soon to be Hall of Fame quarterback. That's one of his patented plays. Draw the defense offside, free play. Most of the time ends in a touchdown, ends in a big play. And because you haven't installed the discipline in said team in order for them to avoid those foolish penalties, we should ease up off that. This man has made a career out of such plays. So you know what Aaron Rodgers said? Well, how about we hold people accountable? How about, you just don't commit a 4-star penalty? How about that? Now, a lot of people in the media probably over this next week are probably gonna be like, oh, they're butting heads, especially over the last game where he went for a hug and he pushed him out the way. No. We're talking about 20-year vet, 20-year Hall of Fame, 20-year winner versus the coach who has instilled a culture, both good and bad, but mostly a losing culture because, like Bill Parcells had said, and I'll repeat year after year after year, you are what your record says you are. And you're a 20-35 coach. 15 games under 500 coach. Aaron Rodgers, for all his warts, for all his faults, he's been to the promised land at least once. He has 4 league MVPs. And tell you the truth, with the talent that's on this offense, if it was coached right, if it was more disciplined, he probably might be in the running for 5. Because last Thursday, 10 days ago, he showed you glimpses. Matter of fact, he showed you a full game that he still got it in him when everything is the way it's supposed to be. Because we have the talent. We just don't have the discipline. We just don't have the winning culture. One of the things that was in the stadium, brother I was with, he's a Patriots fan, but he goes to Jets games. Lucky for me. But when everybody, a couple of people in the crowd was trying to get the crowd up, and we were on the way home, he's like, you know what? I don't understand why, when they needed the crowd behind them, why everybody was sitting on their hands, why everybody was quiet. I'm like, look, I'm letting you know right now. This, from my point of view, as somebody who's been a Jet fan for 42 years, this is exactly what the reason was. When you're in a game against a team that you're favored by 8, but forget all that. You're favored to win, and you're struggling, and you see your team, your beloved team on that field, lifeless, committing penalty, mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. Garrett Wilson fumbled in the first drive of the game, second play of the game. Before I got to my seat, Denver already had the ball plus yards, plus territory. But when you're going against the team, you see mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. And you see we only got 6 points. And you see we're down 7-6. And then we go up 9-7. And you see this. Matter of fact, did we even go up 9-7? No, I don't even think so. It was 10-7. No, 10-6. Then we closed it to 10-9 and we was not able to go over the hump. But neither here nor there. When we see that it's struggling and we just have been through this situation time and time again, there's a feeling of angst, there's a feeling of anxiety, there's a feeling of dread that, yes, I know we should not always think the sky is falling, the sky is falling. Oh my God, the sky is falling. But we've been hurt. We're afraid to love again. We're expecting the inevitable. And the inevitable is the other shoe dropping. So instead of pumping our team up, instead of revving up and really showing all that exuberance, we're sitting down, not hand in head or head in hand, but just expecting the worst outcome possible, expecting what exactly happened. Is it our fault? No, we're not the ones getting paid millions of dollars. We're the ones that spend hundreds upon hundreds of dollars to go see him or to buy merchandise or to patronize the channels in which upon they play. Listen, like I said, I like to watching the game in the comfy confines of my humble abode. But hey, listen, it works. It's beautiful. I loved it. Like I said, neither here nor there. So what's next? Minnesota, the Minnesota Vikings, 4-0. We face them next Sunday morning in London, England, top of the morning to you, against our, I wouldn't say old nemesis, but surely someone who has a chip on their shoulder against us is Sam Darnold, our former first round draft pick, our former number 3 overall draft pick in 2018, who we jettisoned for the 3-year Zach Wilson experiment. And now he's having a career resurgence in good old Minnesota. Minnesota has been busting everybody's ass for the last 4 weeks. Everybody thought it was just the Giants being bad. No, 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 no. They beat San Francisco. They bust their ass. They beat the Texans. Guess what? Not only did they beat them, they bust their ass. And today, even though the score was 31-29, they were up 28-zip against Green Bay at Green Bay, busting their ass. They have a great young head coach, and they have a great defensive coordinator in Brian Flores. And if this team that I saw in person goes across the pond and plays anywhere near where we played today, the way we played today, we will be embarrassed. And guess what? We will get our ass bust. So I don't know what they're going to do. Of course, technically on a short week because they got a lot of travel. Standalone game. You know, our next 3 games are standalone / primetime games. We had a standalone game, 9:30 special next Sunday. The following Monday, we have the Monday night game against the Buffalo Bills. And then I think after that, we have a Sunday night game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Those teams are combined 10-2. The JV part of our schedule is over. We're 2-2. I would have preferred us be 3-1, but we're 2-2. I would have preferred us to actually win and lick our wounds instead of actually lose and bandage our wounds, but we're 2-2. Go figure. Go figure. I should know better. When we're favored by 8.5 points, it's never gonna end well. It's never gonna end well. It's never gonna end well. Never gonna end well. Just listen to me from here.
Another day, another game, another loss. I done lost, been to 2 games, 2 sports, 2 different cities, and 2 losses. Such is the life of a Mets and Jets fan.
See, I'm talking about my Jets right now. At a later time, perhaps tomorrow, or perhaps on the next episode, the full-fledged return of the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph podcast, dropping, let's say, late Monday night, early Tuesday morning, about 24 hours from now. I will be talking about my New York Knickerbockers and their big trade this past weekend with the Minnesota Timberwolves and acquiring Karl Anthony Towns and my opinions on it. I'll be talking about embattled Mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, aka Benson Dubois, and his indictments that he's dealing with. I will give my thoughts on that. And I just might, matter of fact, tomorrow I'll know exactly what's happening. So I'll give you my thoughts on the New York Mets and whether or not they made the playoffs and whether or not they proved me right or hopefully they proved me wrong. That and much, much more on the next edition, or should I say the return edition of the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steph podcast, full-fledged, full-length episode. This is a sprinkle of salt, so y'all ain't getting much more than that. Can't believe this. Can't believe this. But gotta leave y'all with this.
Fuck that! Clear, guys. Fuck that! You shut your mouth. Doesn't mean that this shit stops. The Rock doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah. I mean, I've come to a decision. I really have come to a decision. Actually, I haven't. But no matter what, whether you see this simply dashing face on your screen or you just hear my nice, luxurious voice.
Fuck that! Clear, guys. Fuck that! You shut your mouth. Doesn't mean that this shit stops. The Rock doesn't give a fuck.
So, with all that being said, I'll see y'all in about 24 hours. I'm gonna get out of here. Goodbye. Mother, damn, am I rusty? Yeah.